Hello. This video is going to be titled Healing Family Issues. Now, when I say healing family issues, what I am not talking about, first of all, is healing your family. No. First, you need to heal yourself before you can start healing your family. And one of the issues that people get stuck on is the issue of having to heal other people before they're even healed. Don't do it. So anyway, here we go. Healing family issues. Now, when I talk about healing family issues, I'm talking about it in the context that most of my clients and friends are dealing with, and that is the context of what we could call a spiritual seeker, somebody who is basically trying to let the higher divine frequencies of intuition and the higher self come through. It's basically about getting out of the matrix, whether that requires healing or hypnosis, past life regression, all those little tools that I use to help people extract themselves from the matrix of their own conditioning. And one of the really toughest things to deal with, one of those bedrock issues, is the family issues. You know, the hardest thing to heal is something where you have some kind of agenda around the issue. Like, if you're like, well, I want to heal my mother issues, but I can't ever upset my mother. Well, your agenda, I'm not saying you have to upset your mother, but I'm saying if you're not allowed to speak your truth because your mother might be upset, then you're never going to speak your truth. And that might kind of freeze your healing process a lot. So the thing about healing family issues is to understand a family as kind of, I like to think of it as like a Swiss watch. You open up the back of a Swiss watch, not that I've done that a lot, the old-fashioned watches with gears, right? They're all interconnected. And let's imagine everybody in the family is a gear. And all of these gears fit together to some degree, right? The better they fit, the more accurate the watch, I assume. But let's say all the other gears are invested in you staying the same size. If you become a bigger gear, then they all have to adjust. And they don't want to adjust. They don't want to change. They just want you to not change, right? So in any kind of system where people are really embedded with each other, like I think of it as there's a certain exercise, right, for building links between different parts of the brain. So you cross your feet over, and then you take your hands, you put them out, you put them back to back like this, and you flip them around, right? And now it's kind of like everything's so twisted up that your brain doesn't know exactly which finger is where. And so it sends signals across the barrier, right? Everything's so twisted up, you almost like if you want to move your right finger, you're not sure which one's the right one. That's the way families are a lot of time. They're so connected and intertwined that if one little thing moves, the whole thing starts moving around. And then everybody starts saying, what are you doing? So there's all kinds of things within your family system that might be completely okay. that don't challenge the integrity of the system. For example, dad could be an alcoholic. Dad could come home every night drunk, talking shit, yelling and screaming, throwing up in the bathroom. Somebody always cleans it up. And the next day, dad acts like nothing happened. Nobody act like anything happened. Because that's part of the machinery. That's part of the gears of the system. It doesn't challenge the system in any way. But now, let's say the son comes home from college, or daughter, and says, when dad comes home drunk, I'm not letting him in the house. And everybody's like, you can't do that. No, dad needs to learn. He can sleep it off in the front yard. You don't enter this house drunk. You don't go throw up in the bathroom every night and somebody cleans it up. We're not doing that anymore. Now, not only is dad going to practically break down the front door to get in, and then he's going to accuse you of everything in the world, not respecting your dad, being mean, being cruel. Hey, you're just visiting here. You don't live here. What right do you have? Blah, blah, blah. Dad's going to do all that stuff. But so is everybody else in the family, probably. You know, they're going to be like, I see what you mean, but you can't leave dad out on the porch. But if you really want to change the situation, dad might need a little wake-up call about his drinking. And so anytime that you're going to get to a situation where you are fundamentally changing, you can expect any entangled situation. It could be your own marriage. It could be a relationship you're in. It could be at work. It could be within your family. I'm just picking family because it's the best example. Doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody has this issue. But for those that do, it's really important. And the reason it's important is because there's so much significance. There's so much holiness around the idea of family. And there's so much of a thing of like, well, you know, family is family. You can't do this, you can't do that. Now, I don't have much or any of a relationship with a couple people in my family. I didn't speak with my mother for 17 years after certain issues that I won't go into, but I'm pretty open about with everybody. So take my words with a grain of salt. I have not so much an agenda, but I have a background in this area. And I always tell my clients, anytime that we're working on family issues, I always disclose my issues because I realize that could be having an impact, obviously. But the thing to me is, it's about when a person is reclaiming their authenticity, when a person is finding themselves, and when a person is seeking to express and create a life from the place of their authentic self, then one of the first things that has to go is conformity. And there's no institution that enforces conformity on people more than the family. Sure, churches enforce conformity, workplaces enforce conformity, absolutely, but nothing does it like family. So when you start not conforming, then everybody just might go into high gear. Everybody goes on red alert, and they seek to change your mind. Now, they might use different techniques, right? There's a coercive technique that's more sweet. You know, we love you, we're just worried about you. We're very concerned, right? They might threaten, like, I'll kick you out of my house if you don't do what I say, or you're not welcome here anymore, whatever. I got that one. That's a fun letter to get. And, you know, but there are all kinds of ways. They could just be a weird look, like, what are you doing, right? But everybody in the family knows when you get those signals, you better snap into line, or, you know, have a big drama. One thing to understand, though, anything can be part of the family system, like the example of dad getting drunk. You know, the kid that's the black sheep. Understand, the black sheep is not necessarily threatening the family system. The black sheep doesn't threaten the family system. The family acts like they do, but a lot of times the black sheep of the family actually holds the rest of the family together. They're not so much the black sheep as the sacrificial lamb. And in one situation with somebody that I knew, there was a sibling who was the black sheep. And I told my client, who was absolutely the opposite of a black sheep, if you want to help out your sibling who's having a lot of trouble based on this black sheep patterning, you need to be the black sheep. You need to create the scandal that freaks out mom and dad. And ideally, as a real ninja move, you want to even get the black sheep calling you crazy, getting together with mom and dad and the brothers and the sisters and the aunts and the uncles, and have them all come down on you and let the black sheep be part of that crew. And that'll change the whole energy around the black sheep, and nobody will even know what happened. That's just my scorpionic side coming out. Anyway, please understand, your culture can trap you into the matrix. Your job, your religion, your relationship, your romantic relationship, any kind of role that you identify with, all of these things are areas where the separate ego consciousness can stake a claim, put in a hook, and stay separate. Not coming into your full uniqueness, your full individuality. You know, ideally, a family would be there to support you in finding yourself. Your family, your parents would look at you as a blank slate that maybe isn't that blank. Maybe that's a soul that has come in with talents and interests and whatever. But in their mind, a blank slate. Not like, well, this is my firstborn son, so he must be a doctor. If he's not a doctor, he's allowed to be a lawyer, an engineer, or an architect. But that's it. That's not the blank slate for the parents. Imagine the parents looking at the child being like, I wonder who you are. I want to find out. And I want to help you be that. Right? I don't want to train you to be anything in my image, unless you want to be, and then I'm glad to help. But I want to look at you as a divine mystery and realize that I might not get it. I might not get what your journey's all about, but I want to help assist it in any way because I love you. Unfortunately, a lot of families aren't really like that. They want to embed you into the culture of their world. They want you to conform. They don't really even want to know you. They don't want to know you. They don't want to know the real you. They want to know who they think you are and who they want you to be. They're not curious about your uniqueness. They see it as a problem that should be solved. If you're in a situation like that, then you're going to need to change the size of your gear in that watch. And you're going to need to risk throwing off the rest of the watch. Now, that's only if it's important for you to get out of the matrix. And the family doesn't have to be your arena for doing that. I usually recommend it because that's where most of our issues get formed, those issues that we carry all the way through life that begin at birth, that get really set down in our formative years, right, where we are forming. And the people who form us, mainly, are family members. Parents first, siblings second, and on and on. So if you want to find yourself, if you want to be in the energy of your own authenticity, and then you want to express that out into the world, maybe you want that to be the basis of your relationships, your career, your friendships, everything. Well, then you can't have certain people who see all of that as a threat to them. That doesn't mean you have to get rid of people. It means that you just need to be a little stubborn in your shifting. And when you realize that something is authentic, you need to treat it that way. When you realize something is inauthentic, you need to treat it that way. Not with a big chip on the shoulder, just as a fact. Just that's the way it is, right? I always use the example of gay kids coming out to their parents. When I'm talking to my clients about these things, like, oh, my whole family's vegetarian, but I decided to eat meat. I said, well, tell them. Oh, I could never tell them that. I said, well, what if you were gay, assuming you're not already? What if you were gay? Would you come out to your parents, or would you lie to them for the rest of your life or their life? People might not realize it now because things have changed drastically very quickly in terms of my lifetime. But to come out and tell your parents you're gay is one of the most courageous things that anybody ever does outside of a battlefield, outside of some kind of life or death situation like that. To go to people that you've counted on for your whole life, that you love maybe more than anybody else in the world, and to face possible rejection, to face being possibly disowned forever. Because it's more important for you to state your truth and to have a real relationship based on who you really are, rather than a fake relationship based on who they want you to be and based on your own fear of being authentic to people. And that's really what this all comes down to. When it comes down to family, when it comes down to your own spiritual awakening and getting out of the matrix, it all comes down to this. If you are you, if you act authentically like yourself, and people don't like it, and people reject it, you need to let them. You need to not bullshit them into thinking you're somebody else. You need to let the people who need to reject you, you need to let them reject you. Because it takes a lot of energy to fake it. And that energy has to come from somewhere else. And where it's coming from is from your manifestation of what you want to manifest. That's where it's coming from. It's weakening that. So it really comes down to the people who don't like you, let them not like you by being honest. Even if it's your whole family. Now, I'm not saying go get some wild idea and run to your family and throw bombs into the get-together. What I'm saying is, it's really important to be honest and authentic in the family setting because it gives you, number one, a chance to find out they do love you and all these things that you were afraid of. There's so many people that I have coached through a coming out process that when they come out, I would say 75% of the time, their parents say, yeah, I knew the whole time. I was just waiting for you to tell me. And they're like, oh my God, I've sat there waiting for 10 years to have this big talk. And then they knew the whole time. What a waste of 10 years, you know? How sad. When you could have just been real. You know, your job is to be your authentic self. Your job is not to compromise that for people to like you, even members of your own family. Your job is to be authentic. You are here on earth for a reason. You have a gift to give. Give it. The best way you can give it is be authentically you. One of the main things that can get in the way is conforming to your family. There are many other things you can conform to. And for some people, family is a place of refuge, the only place they can truly be themselves. And that's a beautiful thing, and I'm jealous. Must be awesome. But for most people, seriously on a spiritual path, on one level or another, you're going to have to contend with this family issue. And the thing is, when you do, the whole terrain might look different. Usually less different than you think. But it will be true. It will be authentic. And I think that's important. So anyway, that's some of my thoughts of the family issue in your spiritual growth. Thank you very much. If you'd like more information, check out my website, andysway.com. You can email me at andysway@yahoo.com or text me at 212-505-7729. It's a New York number, but I am in Hollywood. So anyway, have a great day. Hope to talk to you soon.